Welcome to Chapter 6, Innovation and Change. This is an extremely important part of a company's success. It's actually vital to a company's success. In the long run, without innovation and change, a company will falter and not be able to keep up with its competition. Why is innovation so important? And actually, why is there innovation? Why do people continue to innovate and create new ways and new technologies to do things in a more efficient way? And aside for idealism, people wanting to make the world a better place, people innovate and companies innovate for one simple reason: to gain a competitive advantage and to make more profit. Now, it's not enough for an organization to innovate once, twice, or even 3 times. In order to maintain a sustained competitive advantage and continue to succeed over time, an organization needs to put a process of constant innovation. Because if they stop innovating, no matter how great their prior innovations were, the competition will continue to innovate, will continue to catch up, and eventually will surpass them. There have been many companies who have been great innovators, such as Hewlett-Packard, Xerox, IBM, Microsoft, and at one time or another, they became stagnant. They stopped innovating. They relied on their past success and thought it would continue, and unfortunately, they experienced a lull, and the competition caught up to them. Now, some of those companies started to innovate again and became successful again. So a company needs to keep in mind that it needs to continue to innovate over time in order to maintain that competitive advantage over the competition. And in fact, that has been instrumental in Apple's success. Apple continues to innovate. If anybody remembers Apple's first iPod, if you look at it now, you can't even recognize it. You compare it to their current iPods. So even though at the time it was a tremendous technological breakthrough, but over time things become less because of new innovations. Now we're going to look at technology cycles. But before we get into what a technology cycle is, let's just define what technology is. So we tend to think of technology as an unbelievable breakthrough, some innovation by an inventor. That is one kind of technology. But a technology can be any knowledge, innovation, or technique that transforms an input into an output. So case in point, if we want to talk about knowledge or techniques, if a manager comes up with a new technique in management, even though there is no product or invention, that would be considered a technology. About 10 years ago, Billy Beane, then the general manager of the Oakland Athletics, came up with a system of evaluating baseball talent that used statistics called cybermetrics, which evaluated how much a particular baseball player would contribute to victories for the team. Now, there was no technology per se, there was no innovation, but it was a new method of evaluating baseball players that really worked. And that created a new trend in baseball of using statistics to evaluate talent. And there was actually a movie about it called Moneyball. But this was a technology because it was knowledge and a technique that was used to gain a competitive advantage. Now, eventually, other teams caught on and caught up, and that advantage dissipated. But this is a great example to show that technology is not necessarily an invention, but any kind of knowledge or technique would also, that creates a significant increase in output over what was there beforehand, would be considered a technological advance that puts the company in an advantageous position. And now getting to technology cycles. So what happens with technology is that it's a constant cycle. When a company, organization, or an industry comes out with a technological advance, a breakthrough, that creates a great efficiencies in that industry. The industry and organizations continue to improve that technology, make it more efficient, and create more efficiencies in their business. But eventually, that technology reaches the limits of how far it can improve, and then another technology, an improved technology, a better technology which can do more, takes it over. And this is a constant cycle of technology that goes on. And this is what we refer to as technology cycles. The birth of a new technology, the technology reaches limits, and another technology takes over. Let's look at Exhibit 6.1 that shows the process of what a technology goes through in its life cycle and how it is taken over. So if we look at point A, this is the introduction of a new technology. And now we see on the y-axis, the performance axis, we see that as a technology is introduced, as it goes from point A to point B, there is a very small increase in performance, but a great increase in effort. So there is a lot in this stage, in this phase, there is a lot of input, a lot of resources spent, both time, energy, and money, that are put into the technology, and the technology is not giving the company that great of an increase in performance. The reason for this is there is a lot to learn about the technology, there is a lot of investment, a lot of time needs to be spent, and it's not yet ready to be fully optimized. Now at point B, then the technology starts to take off. Once the companies figure out how to use the technology in an optimal way to improve efficiencies, they really see the benefits from it as they go from point B to point C. Now, in the middle of point B, we see that it starts flattening out. The new technology starts giving diminishing returns, diminishing growth, and halfway through here, what the company is doing, or the organization is doing, is they are trying to optimize it even more, making little new improvements in that technology, new iterations, but that does not substantially increase performance. It improves it incrementally. That's called incremental improvement. And at that point,